We want to return to what is a difficult but important topic these days: suicide awareness, and mental health. Because in the wake of the recent deaths of actor Robert Carradine and Martin Short's daughter, Catherine Short, fans and many families are feeling shaken by the news, putting it back in the spotlight. Psychotherapist and licensed clinical social worker with Novant Health, Jaren Doby, joining us this morning to talk about what we can do to maybe better recognize where people are needing support and how we can help one another when it's needed the most. Jaren, thanks for joining us here this morning.
Well, thank you so much for having me back. It's a pleasure to be with you all again.
Yeah, awesome to have you. You've been with us many times, and when it comes to topics like this. So when news breaks out like this, and many people are just shocked as a fan, you just watch people like that, and you think their life is great, but what do we need to understand in this moment?
What we really do need to understand overall is that suicide is preventable and conversations can save lives. Look, most people are struggling and we all just want relief from pain. And if we know the signs and can speak up, we can actually interrupt that pain.
We often hear, how could this happen? You say it's preventable, but it does seem to happen. So how do you explain how this happens and that it is one of these moments, a rare event?
Exactly. I want folks to remember something, and that's to pay attention to the shift. And what do I mean by that? Any signs within yourself or someone else that you love or care about, right, or just knowledgeable of how it is, right? Changes in thinking patterns, changes, of course, in feelings, and changes in behaviors, right? Talking about feeling hopeless, withdrawing from family, giving away prized possessions and things of that nature, sudden calmness after deep depression, or even major mood shifts, dramatic personality changes, changes in sleep and appetite. These are some really good signs to be able to look out for that can really make a difference and save someone's life.
And is there like a time difference? Can they just be going through a phase? Can they just be going through a heartbreak? How long do we give it before we say something, do something?
Right. Well, what you just made mention of is definitely one of the strong risk factors, right? That could lead to those suicidal ideations, as we like to call them, from depression to substance use to major loss, relationships that it is that you just made mention to, any legal or financial issues, previous attempts as well, and even social isolation. These are things that we definitely need to look out for, excuse me. But if you do find out that someone is experiencing this, it is important to stay calm, but also to stay with them, right? Remove access to any dangerous items that may be accessible to them, but then also help them to be able to connect to professional support as well.
We've seen Robert Carradine. He was 71 years old. Catherine, 42 years old. So more in that mature age, that more mature stage. And so they've been living life for a while, and we kind of assume that they know how to cope, they know how to deal, right? But it just doesn't end.
That's right. Yes. And that's the thing. We cannot ever make the assumption, right, that what things look like on the outside, right, or age is definitely equating to whether someone is coping well or not. It's important to ask the important questions if you notice anything. I've noticed that you've been not yourself lately, or you actually matter to me, or even straightforward asking someone, are you thinking about hurting yourself? Look, I want to dispel a myth that asking someone directly about suicide does not plant the idea. It opens the door for honesty. And that's something that's very important.
Yeah, good point. And talking to our younger folks as well, the teens, the adolescents, young adults even, does the conversation change when it comes to approaching that, the coming of age, that vulnerable time of life?
Oh, well, when it comes down to the conversations, it's very important to be present, but it is also important to be direct. I want to say it again, that conversations can save lives. Being able to dance around the topic, right, is something that can, of course, lose context and lose the details within that. Be direct with your line of questioning, of course, but make sure that you are remaining calm in order not to, of course, increase anxieties around the moment, right? Or increase any issues within that moment, within the conversation, and making someone feel like as if you're being judgmental at that time. We can engage and make sure that there are plenty of protective factors to be able to help. Connection between those that support us. Faith and community remains to be important, but access to mental health care is something that remains to be very much so important as well. There's a number that's very well known out there, but for those that do not know, 988. You can call, text, chat that number to speak with a trained crisis professional 24/7 to be able to help you within a crisis situation. But if in need, I want folks to make sure that they report themselves directly to the nearest ER or ED for further evaluation.
I think that's a really great reminder. We can't say that enough. 988 for those who might be in that position and feel that way. And for families, parents, friends, guardians who need to talk to their kids or loved ones or relatives, and they don't have the language, they don't have that kind of open communication. What are some of the words? How can we get them started with that right opening up the conversation to approach someone who they might see in this position?
Absolutely. Again, a good statement to be able to lead with is, I've noticed that you just haven't been yourself lately, right? Or reminding them once again that they matter to you, right? And I have to be able to double down to directly ask, like, I've noticed some changes in you of some kind, but are you feeling or thinking about hurting yourself? It is important to ask these questions because, again, I cannot say it enough. We have to eliminate the myth that is very much so out there that asking someone about suicide does not plant the idea. Does not. You give them the opportunity to open up about it, to be honest about it, to know that the person asking actually cares about them and what is going on.
And conversely, Jaren, is there something we should avoid saying?
As it pertains to avoid saying things, I would definitely very much so avoid being judgmental or dismissive in those moments. There are times, plenty of times, and I'm sure folks can relate to this in some way, that people have brought something to others' attention, right? That is very significant, that if you didn't pay attention to it, you would miss it. And folks brush it off, or, hey, you'll be all right, or there's nothing wrong with you, or you wouldn't do anything like that. Take it all seriously. If someone brings it to your attention, there's a reason for that, and treat it as such.
And then for families or friends who have to deal with the passing of a loved one who died by suicide, what is the approach to that family or situation?
All right. I first want to acknowledge that that is something that can be very, very tough for individuals and families to be able to experience. And of course, my heart directly goes out to them. It's important at that time to make sure that we are bonding together, right? Making sure that we have connection with each other and those that it is that we love. Making sure as well that you do seek services for yourself in the event that you need to. Look, this is like a ripple effect when suicide happens that I like to share with folks. It doesn't just impact the person that it is that passed, but it impacts those systems, right? The things that it is and the people that they are connected to. So in the event that folks need help, professional assistance in order to be able to cope or to process and get through what it is that they have experienced, I strongly encourage folks to see a mental health professional like myself.
Jaren Doby, thank you so much. Appreciate your time this morning. A very important conversation to have. And I know you're busy with your own patients, but thank you for taking the time.
Thank you so much for having me and covering such an important topic. Thank you again.
Of course. All right. Don't forget, if you do find yourself or know someone who could use the suicide prevention or support group hotline, just call 988. We'll be right back on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus.